my name is Faith Long, and I am the Wellness Coordinator at the Warsaw YMCA. I'm also a certified personal trainer and a nutrition specialist, and I am bringing the trainer tip for your Tuesday. So today we're going to be talking about reading a nutrition label. So this is a great skill to have if you're trying to make better or smarter choices when it comes to your nutrition. And quite frankly, those nutrition labels can be a bit confusing and maybe even overwhelming to understand. So I got some different foods here from my own house. So we'll start with this Kodiak cakes. They're protein pancakes. I enjoy making these for breakfast from time to time. So looking at your nutrition label, we're just going to work our way straight down the label. So at the very top you have your serving size. So this is important because all the information that follows is based off of that serving size. So you want to make sure you're aware of how much you are consuming. So the serving size for the pancakes is a half cup of the dry mix. So going right below that, you have your calories. Again, that's going to be the amount per serving. So there are 190 calories in the half cup of this mix. So this is important if you're trying to keep track of your consumption, if you're trying to do less or more calories, depending on if you're trying to lose weight or maybe gain weight. So if a product has 40 or less calories per serving, that's going to be a pretty low amount for that food, whatever it is. If it's in that 100 range, that's going to be moderate, and then anything that is 400 calories or more is a pretty high amount for that food or meal, whatever you're eating. So obviously this lands in that moderate range. So going straight down from that, we're going to have all the nutrients that is making up the food product. So right at the top there, you have total fat. Below that, you have saturated fat, trans fat, cholesterol, and sodium. So those four things, saturated, trans fat, cholesterol, and sodium, you want to have less of those in your diet. So good news for me is that the saturated fat is 0.5 grams, the trans fat is 0 grams. So obviously very low. Something that I would probably want to look for is the sodium content is a little bit high for this product. So it is 370 milligrams of sodium. So a little higher than I would probably like. Moving down, you have your total carbohydrates, and then right below that you have dietary fiber. And then if you skip down to this little area right here, you have vitamins, calcium, iron, and potassium. So fiber, and then vitamins and minerals, all that kind of stuff, those are things that you want more of in your diet. So the dietary fiber is 3 grams. It's not a bad number. It's decent. It could maybe be a little bit higher. And then when I skip down to the vitamins and minerals here, the vitamin D is 0, so it could be a little bit better. But then my calcium and iron, I have 220 milligrams of calcium and then 1.5 milligrams of iron. Those are some decent numbers, so I know that I'm getting some of those good things as well. Other things to look for, if we kind of come back up here, you have your sugars. So it has 8 grams total sugars, and then right below it, which most labels should have this, it talks about the added sugar. So there's 7 grams of added sugar in here. So pretty much what that means is that some of your foods have natural occurring sugars in them. Obviously, this did not have a lot of natural occurring sugar, so they added in 7 grams of sugar. So moving over to the side, another thing that you will see on your nutrition label is that percent daily value. So that's going to be all those numbers with the percentages next to them. So at the very bottom of a label, it's going to tell you that the percent daily value is based off of someone who's eating 2,000 calories a day. So that's important to remember. If you're not eating 2,000 calories, then these percentages are going to be they're going to look a little different for you. So an example is the total fat on this label here is 4% of this daily value for someone who's having 2,000 calories. So if you're eating more like 1,500 calories, it's going to be a little bit higher. It might be more like 7% or 8% of your daily value. Some other things that you want to look for or pay attention to are maybe some allergens that are in this product. So that's going to be below your ingredient list. There's going to be another little spot that talks about some things that could be not good for some people. So we have almonds, milk, and wheat, and then there's trace amounts of eggs, soy, tree nuts as well. So obviously someone who has a dairy or wheat intolerance, they don't want to be having this product. The other important things to look at on a label is your ingredient list. So a good rule of thumb is the longer the ingredient list, probably the more food and things that you're consuming that aren't as good for your body. So the ingredient list on here is decently sized. It's not huge, so that's good. But a great example would be my natural peanut butter. When I look at the ingredient list on here, it's very, very small. It's peanuts, and then it contains 1% or less of salt. So I know that I'm just eating peanuts. So some important things that you do want to look for in your ingredient list is words like partially hydrogenated oils. If it says that, it means that you're consuming trans fat. So that is not on this list, so I know that I'm not having trans fat in here. Some other things that you want to pay attention for are all the different names of sugar. They're very sneaky, and they have lots of lovely little names to call sugar and sneak that into your diet. So examples are high fructose corn syrup, lactose, malt syrup, evaporated corn sweetener, dextrose, crystal dextrose, sugarcane juice. So those are all going to be another name for sugar. So those are things you want to look out for as well. Another thing that I want to point out is consuming 100% whole wheat is a lot better and beneficial for you if you don't have gluten intolerance than eating foods that are enriched. So enriched things are going to be your white breads and white flour and all that kind of stuff. So it can be a little bit confusing at times because a lot of times packages might make the claim that they are whole grains, but you want to look at that in the ingredient list. So this package does say 100% whole grains. So I want to look at the side and look at the very first ingredient. So the very first ingredient in here is 100% whole grain wheat flour. So if the first ingredient says 100% whole wheat, then you know that that product is in fact 100% whole wheat. So that's a good thing. If you see something that says whole grains or multi-grains or something like that, and then you go to read the side, and there's several other ingredients before your whole grain, then you know that's probably not going to be as good as 100% whole grain. So on an ingredient list, all the foods that come first are what is the most in that product. So again, the 100% whole grain means that there is a lot of whole grain. It's a big contributor to the ingredients here. So anyway, I hope that is helpful for you. Gives you a little bit of insight. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. We are excited to see everyone back at the Y, but keep staying tuned in, listening to all our different tips and advice.